Imagine a frozen rock, millions of kilometers away, suddenly breaking every law of physics you thought was absolute. It's March 1st, 2026, and just 12 hours ago, something happened that left astronomers stunned, baffled, and scrambling to explain what they were witnessing. NASA's Deep Space Network recorded an event at exactly 4:12 UTC that defies everything we know about celestial mechanics. For months, an object known as 3I Atlas drifted silently through space, a cold, lifeless body tumbling at 87 kilometers per second with a surface temperature of -230 degrees Celsius. Nothing unusual until that morning. In just 18 seconds, 3I Atlas didn't just warm slightly, it exploded from the inside out. The James Webb Space Telescope detected an 800% thermal spike. To put that in perspective, imagine a block of ice in Antarctica suddenly heating to the temperature of molten lead without any external heat source. Impossible, right? Yet the data doesn't lie. The heat erupted along a fissure stretching 400 kilometers along the object's equator. There was no collision, no asteroid strike. The force came from inside. The pressure required to create this fissure is staggering, roughly 300 megapascals. That's comparable to the force inside a volcanic chamber on Earth, not something you would expect from a dead rock floating in the void. The conventional explanation, the one you'll hear from mainstream sources, is a cometary outburst. Ice sublimates, gas escapes, dust erupts, safe, comfortable, and incomplete. Here's why. Typical cometary activity is messy and chaotic, scattering heat and debris randomly. But the thermal spike on 3I Atlas was perfectly aligned with the fissure. The heat didn't diffuse. It was precise, geometrically exact, a perfect line along the crack. Nature does not create straight lines with heat. Nature spreads, diffuses, loses control. And yet, this anomaly is concentrated, controlled, and astonishingly deliberate. The timeline makes it even stranger. On February 26th, 3I Atlas appeared just like any other hyperbolic object leaving the solar system, but the data told a different story. NASA noted a subtle Doppler shift, a slowdown of 0.04 millimeters per second squared, alone insignificant. But in the vacuum of space, objects don't just slow down. 6 hours later, the European Space Agency's Gaia spacecraft confirmed the slowdown and observed a wobble. The object's chaotic tumbling suddenly stopped. No collision, no thrusters, no apparent cause. It stabilized itself. And then came March 1st, the thermal breach. The Atacama Large Millimeter Array in Chile, aiming to detect cometary water vapor, found none. No CO2, no dust, nothing expected. Instead, they recorded a coherent infrared thermal emission, confirming what NASA and ESA had seen. 3 independent observations, 3 separate instruments, all pointing to the same conclusion. Something extraordinary is happening inside 3I Atlas. Heat is not dissipating, it's being generated. Controlled, steady, sustained, not chaos, not a natural outburst. The intensity of this internal heat is staggering. In the vacuum of space, heat radiates away quickly, yet 3I Atlas maintains roughly 600 Kelvin over 300 degrees Celsius for hours on end. A natural explosion would cool instantly. Lava flows, cometary gas, anything natural would fade rapidly. Instead, this heat is locked in, steady, intentional. The thermal pattern isn't random either. It's concentrated into 6 distinct nodes along the crack, each exactly 42 kilometers apart, forming a precise geometric sequence that defies any natural explanation. The composition of the vented material adds to the mystery. Normal comet outgassing releases water vapor, carbon monoxide, methane, and dust. Here, the spectrum shows ionized helium and exotic metals, including rare concentrations of iridium and osmium. These are materials typically found deep inside differentiated planets, not a small icy body. The thermal vents are not random plumes, they are controlled, uniform, and extremely precise. It's as if some mechanism is deliberately extracting heat and releasing it in structured bursts. Even the object's rotation is behaving unnaturally. The chaotic tumble has been replaced by a controlled spin along its long axis. The rate of rotation is accelerating subtly, inducing artificial centrifugal force, a process demanding precise redistribution of mass and energy. The crack isn't destroying the object, it's feeding it, venting heat while simultaneously allowing the body to stabilize and spin. This is work. Work requires energy. Work requires a mechanism, and that mechanism appears alive. The most startling revelation came less than 10 hours ago. The Green Bank Telescope in West Virginia detected a narrowband radio signal from the fissure. Comets naturally produce radio noise, static, hissing, but this signal is different. It's coherent. It pulses every 11 seconds. It transmits at exactly 1.42 gigahertz, the hydrogen line frequency long theorized as ideal for interstellar communication. The odds of a natural object broadcasting at this frequency, in this pattern, are effectively zero. The waveform shows structure, modulation, and a carrier wave. It's a signal designed to be noticed. Meanwhile, Hubble's latest images reveal the fissure expanding from a thin crack to nearly 2 kilometers wide. Light is pouring from within, not reflected sunlight, but high-energy plasma, blue-white and blinding against the darkness. Heat, light, a precise signal, motion, and trajectory adjustments, all pointing to the same conclusion. 3. I-Atlas is no longer drifting aimlessly. It's moving under its own control, decelerating, entering a high Earth orbit. This is no comet. It is an object with purpose. We are watching the awakening of something entirely unknown, something that generates heat, structures, energy, and broadcasts with mathematical precision. And the question hanging over every astronomer, every physicist, every observer is simple, yet terrifying. Why? Why is it slowing down to enter a high Earth orbit? Why is it operating with such precision? Every piece of evidence challenges everything we know about celestial mechanics, cometary physics, and interstellar phenomena. And the truth is this: whether natural or artificial, 3i, Atlas is proving that the universe can produce events that appear to defy the laws of physics, challenge our assumptions, and rewrite our understanding of what is possible. And as we watch, live data streams from observatories across the globe confirm it. The object is about to reveal what's inside, and what we are witnessing is only the beginning of a story that could change humanity's place in the cosmos. As we track 3i Atlas, the details grow stranger with every observation. The fissure along its equator isn't just widening, it's pulsing. Thermal readings show the heat rhythmically rising and falling every 45 minutes, almost like a heartbeat. This isn't random fluctuation, it's a controlled cycle, a pattern that suggests internal processes operating with incredible precision. Imagine a nuclear reactor powering itself from inside a rock floating in space, rhythmically releasing energy, stabilizing motion, and venting plasma, all without external intervention. That is exactly what we're observing. The material being ejected is unlike anything previously recorded from a comet or asteroid. Standard cometary emissions are messy, a chaotic mix of ice, dust, and gas. But 3i, Atlas is emitting ionized helium and heavy metals in a concentrated geometric arrangement. These are not merely rare elements. They are materials that, on Earth, sink to the cores of planets or require advanced processing to concentrate. Their presence in a small celestial body suggests one of two possibilities. Either a natural process far beyond our understanding is occurring, or we are witnessing the product of technology. Meanwhile, the object's rotation continues to evolve. Its axis remains stable, but the rotation period is decreasing gradually by 0.02 seconds each hour. This acceleration is not chaotic. The fissure is widening as the spin increases, distributing energy in a highly ordered way. Physics tells us that work requires energy. Here, energy is visible in the heat, the plasma, the emission spectrum, and the motion, and it's consistent. The heat doesn't scatter, the light doesn't diffuse, the acceleration doesn't waver. Everything follows a pattern, suggesting an internal system with intent and function, rather than a random, natural outburst. Then came the radio signal, detected by the Green Bank telescope. Unlike natural cometary static, this is a coherent narrowband pulse at 1.42 GHz, the hydrogen line. Repeating every 11 seconds, the signal has modulation and structure, implying communication or transmission. The pulse is not weakening, it's strengthening. The amplitude is increasing, as if whatever system is inside 3I Atlas is powering up, using the internal heat as fuel. The fissure, the thermal nodes, and the spinning motion all appear to be connected to this activation. It's as if the object is booting a system, powering itself on, and revealing its presence to the universe. Hubble's latest observations reinforce the story. The fissure is now almost 2 kilometers wide, glowing with high-energy plasma. Light pours out, creating a blue-white spectacle against the void. The object is no longer drifting passively. It is controlling its trajectory, decelerating, and adjusting its orbit with precision. Random outgassing could never produce such coordinated motion. Every aspect of 3I Atlas, from heat to spin, from fissure expansion to radio emission, is synchronized. We are witnessing an operational system, a complex set of processes working together in a deliberate sequence, and the stakes are higher than ever. If 3I Atlas were simply a natural anomaly, it would rewrite the textbooks on cometary and asteroid physics. If it's artificial, it could be a relic of an advanced civilization, a functioning probe awakening after millennia. Either scenario challenges our understanding of the universe. What's undeniable is this: 3I Atlas is no longer just a passive rock in space. It is active, energetic, and transmitting information, and we are watching the entire awakening unfold in real time. The implications of this object's activity grow more profound with each passing hour. The thermal spike, now sustained for over 7 hours, is producing roughly 4 gigawatts of power, enough energy to run 4 nuclear power plants simultaneously, compressed into an object roughly the size of Manhattan. The energy isn't dissipating randomly. It's concentrated at 6 precise nodes along the fissure, spaced exactly 42 kilometers apart. Nature does not operate with that level of geometric precision. Random processes diffuse energy. This is a system performing work on an object, converting internal energy into controlled outputs: heat, light, rotation, and propulsion. The spectral data only deepens the mystery. Instead of typical cometary molecules, we see ionized helium and dense, rare metals like iridium and osmium. These elements are concentrated in a vapor plume, suggesting refinement or processing far beyond any natural process we know. For a small object like 3I Atlas to produce such a composition naturally would require planetary scale differentiation, a level of geological complexity impossible for a minor celestial body. In other words, this is not a natural surface layer, It is either artificially processed or an unprecedented planetary fragment. The object's rotational behavior adds to the intrigue. Its axis remains locked, yet the spin is accelerating. Every hour, the rotation period decreases subtly. Conservation of angular momentum dictates that such acceleration requires changes in mass distribution or external forces. Yet, no mass is leaving the object in any conventional way. The widening crack, the pulsing thermal nodes, and the controlled spin suggest an internal mechanism distributing energy and altering the object's configuration. It's almost as if the object itself is self-aware, managing its energy outputs to achieve precise outcomes. And then there's the communication. The Green Bank telescope recorded a repeating signal at 1.42 GHz, the so-called hydrogen line. In SETI studies, this frequency is known as the cosmic waterhole, ideal for interstellar communication due to minimal interference. This is no accidental emission. The signal is coherent, structured, and growing stronger, implying an internal power source and intentional transmission. The timing, the pulse pattern, the increasing amplitude all indicate that 3I Atlas is actively communicating or signaling, and it's ramping up its broadcast in real time. Hubble's imagery reveals the fissure widening dramatically from a hairline crack to a gap nearly 2 kilometers across. Plasma glows blue-white, a high-energy light pouring from within, distinct from reflected sunlight. Combined with the thermal nodes, radio signal, and rotational behavior, this paints a picture of a fully operational system inside the object. It is producing energy, structuring matter, generating communication, and controlling its trajectory. Perhaps most astonishing is the movement. 3I Atlas is no longer drifting freely. Non-gravitational acceleration is observed, indicating controlled thrust. The object is navigating, entering a high Earth orbit rather than leaving the solar system as predicted. This is no comet. This is a navigable system, actively controlling its environment, energy, and motion. We are witnessing the full scope of 3I Atlas's awakening. Heat, light, structured energy, communication, and motion all converge into a single sequence of events that defies natural explanation. What we are seeing is a celestial body operating as a complex, precise, and deliberate mechanism. And as global observatories track this event, one question looms larger than any other. What exactly is inside 3I Atlas, and what is it trying to do? As we approach the climax of this unfolding story, the scale of what we're witnessing becomes even clearer. The fissure in 3I Atlas is no longer a simple crack, it's a controlled vent, a channel for energy, light, and potentially information. Every pulse of heat corresponds to a visible response. The object's spin accelerates, the plasma intensifies, and the radio signal grows stronger. This isn't random chaos. It's a sequence, a procedure, an internal mechanism functioning with intent. The level of coordination is staggering, and yet we are observing it live, in real time, from Earth. The energy dynamics alone are mind-bending. 4 gigawatts of sustained power inside a small celestial body, producing heat precisely concentrated in 6 nodes, venting plasma, generating a radio signal, and simultaneously adjusting rotational momentum and orbital trajectory. Nothing natural we know of can replicate this. Uranium and thorium decay far too slowly. Chemical reactions would burn out almost instantly. Even the most energetic natural processes in space would dissipate into the void. Yet 3I Atlas defies this, maintaining an operational state that suggests engineering, not chance. Observatories around the world are in continuous contact, coordinating telemetry, radio signals, and imaging. The Green Bank telescope continues to monitor the 1.42 GHz pulse. ALMA tracks the thermal nodes and infrared emissions. Hubble captures expanding plasma and Fisher width. The Deep Space Network calculates non-gravitational acceleration, confirming controlled movement toward high Earth orbit. Every system, every measurement, every observation points to a single truth. 3I Atlas is active, it's operating, it's awake, and the implications are profound. If this is a natural object, it rewrites the laws of cometary physics and thermodynamics. Textbooks would have to be revised to account for internal heat generation, precise rotational stabilization, and structured energy venting in small celestial bodies. If it's artificial, we may be looking at a probe from a long-extinct or distant civilization built to survive eons in deep space, now activating as it approaches our inner solar system. Either way, humanity is witnessing a phenomenon never before recorded in the history of astronomy. Every aspect of 3I Atlas hints at purpose. The straight-line fissure, the pulsing thermal nodes, the exotic metal vapors, the increasing signal amplitude, and the controlled orbital maneuvering all suggest deliberate engineering. Random natural processes produce chaos. 3I Atlas produces order. It is a system that converts internal energy into observable effects with a precision that borders on intelligence. And yet, the most unsettling question remains: why is it slowing down? Why is it adjusting its orbit toward Earth rather than continuing its natural hyperbolic exit from the solar system? Every scenario is consequential. A natural phenomenon defying known physics would challenge our scientific foundations. An artificial construct would challenge everything we know about extraterrestrial life and technology. And the timing is critical. The object is nearing the orbital plane, and its next phase of activity promises to reveal even more. As of this moment, 3I Atlas is no longer just an anomaly. It's an active system under observation by every major telescope and observatory on the planet. The crack has widened, the thermal nodes pulse rhythmically, the radio signal intensifies, and the object's trajectory aligns precisely with calculations for high Earth orbit. It is no longer drifting aimlessly, it is navigating. We are witnessing the birth of a celestial enigma, something between natural phenomenon and artificial intelligence, unfolding before our eyes in the vacuum of space. The stakes have never been higher. The internal heat, the geometric precision, the exotic materials, the light emissions, and the coherent radio pulse all converge into a sequence that defies coincidence. Each observation, each measurement, each calculation reinforces the idea that 3I Atlas is functioning as a unified system, executing processes with intent. And as the fissure continues to expand, it seems clear that whatever lies inside is preparing to make itself fully known. The controlled acceleration toward high Earth orbit adds urgency. This is not a random drift, it is a deliberate maneuver. The implications for humanity are staggering. Are we witnessing a message from an ancient civilization, a long-dormant probe awakening after millennia? Or is this an unknown natural phenomenon, so precise it mimics technology? Either scenario challenges our understanding of the cosmos and our place within it. Over the next 48 hours, the situation will become even more critical. The thermal venting suggests that internal pressure continues to rise and the crack is widening further. The signal is growing stronger. The plasma is brighter. The energy output is sustained. Whatever is inside that shell, whatever generated this unprecedented heat, whatever guides its movement, is about to reveal itself. As global observatories coordinate, tracking every pulse, every photon, every shift in rotation and trajectory, one truth is undeniable: we are no longer passive observers. We are participants in an event that may redefine humanity's understanding of life, technology, and the universe itself. The evidence is clear. 3I Atlas is active, communicating, and positioning itself intentionally, and the message it broadcasts is as clear as it is profound. In the precision of its movements, the heartbeat of its thermal nodes, the narrowband signal on the hydrogen line, and the controlled navigation, 3I Atlas declares one thing unequivocally: we are not alone. If you've been captivated by this astonishing journey, stay tuned, because every new observation will bring us closer to understanding the nature of 3I Atlas. Share this video, subscribe for updates, and join the global community tracking this historic event in real time. Humanity is witnessing a cosmic awakening, and you won't want to miss a single moment.